Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Brian Taylor. I'm here in Andersonville, Tennessee, and today I'm going to be doing a video on black walnuts. Now, this isn't going to be a video on how to grow them. This is going to be a video on how to collect them and harvest these little boogers. And I'm not going to lie, they made me go a little nuts trying to figure out how to process them myself. So hopefully I can help you guys learn how to take this fruit that comes off the tree and get the nut inside that we're used to seeing. And hopefully that'll save you guys a lot of time, maybe some money, and maybe you won't go nuts like me. All right, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start out with some of my failures. So I used like a cement mixer in a Home Depot bucket, and I was able to manage to make a big mess. So the idea was that it would agitate and it would rip the husks off of the nut. That didn't work out very well. Even when I removed about 2/3 of the water, it still just wasn't enough to rip those husks off, and it just sprayed the water everywhere. So this, even though I saw it on other videos, was a huge failure in my mind. The next thing I decided to do is just cut them off by hand, and this is a very long process. I ended up speeding this video up 50 times just to show you guys the whole process, but it took forever, and the pulp was still stuck to the walnut. So even after doing all of this and letting it soak, the pulp was still an issue because it was still stuck and tacked on. So peeling by hand is an option, but it's a very time-consuming option, and it doesn't really get the job done completely. So I had to think of a better way to do this, or I'd be stuck doing it by hand all day and all night for weeks, and that wasn't my plan. All right, before we get into the processing part, I want to talk about how we collected these things. So basically everything we did was picked by hand. My son, Riker, decided it'd be a good day to pretend he was sick, so instead of letting him sit home and play video games all day, we went out and we collected walnuts. And it took us a whole afternoon. We got all kinds of walnuts picked up off the sides of the road and in the neighborhood. And we filled up an entire 60-gallon pickle drum of black walnuts, which we're pretty impressed with how much we were able to collect. So that's pretty cool. All right, so my son actually made this for a box turtle cage. Didn't work out very well for that purpose, but hardware cloth that's really secure, and it's got these high ledges, so I figured this would be perfect for the walnuts in order to help it not fall out, which is pretty cool.
Attempt number one to find a better way to do this, just straight with the power wash. I'd say that's pretty successful.
I'd say you're right, buddy. All right, since we discovered a very efficient, fast way of doing this, we decided to just go for it and go all out and doing big bulk runs of this. We're able to clear out the walnut husks very quickly. A couple key points for this is extremely messy, so don't wear clothes that you're gonna want to keep or use for anything other than this or yard work. And the other thing is, an unknown issue we had is Riker actually had a pretty nasty allergic reaction to the walnut juice, so I'd always make sure you're covered. We ended up buying him a poncho and a face mask to get this done, but it went pretty well and it went pretty fast. We were able to clear it. So this is an important next step. We're taking all the cleaned walnuts and throwing them in some water. The reason we're doing this is because we want to see if they're actually good. If they sink to the bottom, they're good. If they float, there could be something wrong with it. They could have contaminants inside. They could have like an insect or something that you don't want to crack a walnut up to try to eat it and find. So what we did is we just took the ones that were floating and we discarded those, and the ones at the bottom we just kind of scooped to make sure they weren't holding any floaters down, and then we were good to go. The last step before we end up bagging these guys out is we do like a kind of a quick dry in the sun. We want to get most of the water off before we bag them, so we put them out on some lawn chairs out in the sun for them to dry. It doesn't get them completely dry, but it gets it so that the bags don't get soaking wet. And we liked it, so it worked out, purposing the lawn chairs for our benefit. All right guys, so here's our finished products. Our walnuts are all sacked up. We've got about 12 bags. They're about 20 pounds each. These can be a very profitable crop. They sell for about $10 a pound on the high end and $5 on the low. So you could really make some money on these things if you choose to. We're gonna probably just enjoy them this year and see how we like them in different recipes. They have a pretty long shelf life once they're processed, so we can keep them for a while. Once we crack them open, they have a very short shelf life, kind of like meat. So the important thing though is you've got to let them dry out. We have them, as we showed you previously, they're hanging in our barn. They've got to dry for at least 3 weeks. If you try to eat them before that, the taste is going to be like eating bark. They're pretty nasty. They don't have any of the flavors that you'd expect from a walnut. So you need to dry them. Once they're dried though, they'll last and they should taste good for a while. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to our channel and we will update you as soon as we can on how we like tasting them, and I'll probably do a video on a new way to harvest them as well. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.